The trench cut is a defensive tactic where you've decided to give up a portion of the roof and attic space in order to save the remainder. While this is a defensive tactic, keep in mind that offensive operations are occurring at the same time. Firefighters will be below on the top floor pulling ceilings and directing hose streams into the attic space. Typically, we don't want to mix tactics. When you mix defensive and offensive tactics, you're asking for trouble. People get hurt or killed. This, however, is an exception. This is a very labor-intensive operation that you're not going to see with one or two companies on the first alarm. You're going to have greater alarm companies involved with this. The trench cut is actually a series of cuts. Let's take a look at this building here. Let's imagine that we have a top floor fire, a large top floor fire. We suspect a lot of fire in the attic space in this wing here. The very first and most important thing that we do with the trench cut is to cut our primary heat hole, approximately 8 feet by 8 feet, a very large hole. Now let's imagine that we're going to try and hold it to this small portion of the wing. We have to back off now and cut little inspection holes about 15 feet away from the primary heat hole. These inspection holes are the width of a saw blade. So it's basically 3 plunge cuts into the roof forming your small triangle. Then we back off from the inspection holes and cut our trench. The trench is 3 feet wide and it goes from wall to wall. There should be no fuel left. All that roofing has to be removed should we decide to pull the boards. Okay, what is going to be the determining factor in pulling the boards? If we notice fire coming from the inspection holes, we know that fire has gone past the primary heat hole and we now have to pull the boards from the trench. When you're cutting the trench, keep in mind you want to cut manageable sections so that once we do have to pull the boards, it will be a relatively easy operation. Now, we have to put 2 additional inspection holes past the trench so that in the event fire runs past the trench, we can see through these inspection holes. Now, the next defensive stand that we're going to make will be a trench in this location here. Notice that we're using the design features of the building to our advantage. We cut the trench, but again, we don't pull the boards. We just cut it in manageable pieces. Now we observe the second series of observation holes. If we see fire coming through it, we know that it is now time to pull the trench. Pull the trench and push the ceilings down. This should prevent fire from extending into the remainder of the roof and attic space. For horizontal ventilation from the roof, take a piece of webbing or a rope with a clip at the end and secure the fork end of the halligan using the loop. Once you've tied the fork end of the halligan, lower it to the height of the window that you want to break. Secure it in your hand. Bring the rope or the webbing back. Take the tool and throw it out. In the event that it becomes necessary that you have to conduct a rescue from the roof, such as an occupant trapped in a light well or out a window somewhere, you have 2 options. You can either use your roof rope that you brought with you, or if they're trapped at the top floor, you can have the aerial driver bring a roof ladder up to you and you can lower it to the position and then go down and rescue the victim.